Hello everyone, this is VanguardOfValor and welcome to Dungeon of the Endless. Dungeon of the Endless is, in short, an unforgiving tower defense dungeon crawler. Somewhat of an unusual combination, but we're gonna get into it and see what it's all about. It's made by the same people who made Endless Legend and Endless Space, and I believe it's set in the same universe. We're gonna hop into a new game though and see what happens. This cutscene is really choppy for some reason, even though the rest of them are all really nice and smooth, and the animation is, and the look of the game is really nice overall. This is not a great first impression for it, but unfortunately that's just how it is. Deep space ship is attacked, and an escape pod makes its way out. Note from the sales brochure, the pod is guaranteed to survive any crash, and we hope its occupants do as well. Yes, indeed. Well, here we are. To start off our game nice and simple, we pick our escape pod. At the moment I only have this one unlocked, although there are a variety of others which are unlocked based on having specific criteria, like never using pause in a winning game or beating the game with previous pods, which all have different characteristics and affect the games in different ways. This one, however, is our standard experience. Don't believe this. It is not too easy or easy. This game is very difficult. We're going to be checking it out and doing as best we can, but things may be quite nasty. And we get to start off on this pod with 2 heroes. So, at the beginning of the game, you only have 4 available. But as you venture through the game and hire new heroes to help you out and keep them alive through your adventures, you can bring them with you at the beginning as well. There's quite a selection of them, and there's still several I haven't unlocked. However, for this particular adventure, I think we're going to be starting out with Elise Ness and Lady Jolari Talak. We'll talk a little bit about them, and then we'll get started and see what's what. So, Elise Ness. Elise Boom Boom Ness is a law person who walks the ragged edge between justice and vigilanteism. Reasoning that the crime of breaking and entering should be a two-way street, she earned her nickname due to her fondness for storming criminal hideouts with heavy-duty weaponry. And Lady Jolari Talak, a rogue and adventurer, Jolari was generally found mounted with a weapon in her hand. She has traveled far and wide on the continent, enriching herself by finding and selling endless artifacts. However, she was trapped in the dungeon when running from beasts that ate her steed. Now all she can think of is getting back up to the light and avenging her lost companion. So, there's a couple different stats here that we can see. First of all, here we have the health bar. This is a relative health compared to other heroes, so Lady Jolari Talak starts with a ton of health, whereas Elise does not. There's next is speed. So Jolari is slightly faster than Elise. Keeping speeds being relatively similar can be good for grouping up your heroes, but at the moment we're not going to worry too much about that. Next up is damage per second, which is pretty self-explanatory. It's the average damage that hero can do. Jolari is not as damaging as Elise Ness is, but still reasonably high. And the next stat is one I don't use much, called the wit stat. This allows you to give a bonus to modules by leaving a hero in a room with a tower and not leaving for a little while. Not one I generally take advantage of, but it might be a problem, might be partially why I'm not doing so well. Either way, we're going to see. I have gotten reasonably far in this game. There's also a couple interesting and relevant stats here in addition to that. These 3 are not particularly relevant. This one tells you how many times you've chosen that hero, either at the starting screen or in-game, how many times they've died, and the number of times that you have won the game with them. And we also have another important thing here. This is the weapon type that this character uses. Elise Ness uses automatic weaponry, and Jolari Talak uses spears. So this is important. If you have multiple heroes with the same type of weapon, you may find yourself in for trouble, as finding new weaponry, being random, you're less likely to find multiples of the same type. If you have a lot of heroes who use the same kind of weaponry, you may find yourself strapped for gear to give to them rather. Either way, we're going to jump into the game with these 2 and see what actually happens once we get in here. So let's start this thing. And kaboom! Giant explosion from such a small ship. Turns out that the atmosphere is highly explosive or something. Let's keep going and see what happened now. We've tunneled quite a ways into the Earth. And here we are. So, we start off in our crashed ship with very little to see. We have our 2 heroes here, we have a large crystal, and the damaged remains of what used to be our craft. So, what are we seeing on screen here? This is important. I'm going to quickly go over a couple quick things so people understand what they're looking at, because if you don't know what's going on in this game, it'll be very, very confusing to you. First of all, in the top left corner of the screen, we have the options button and the inventory buttons. This will allow us to see what we've picked up and give it to people. We don't have anything right now, though, so that's not such a big deal. This is the industry, science, food, and dust bars. These are our resources. Industry allows us to build towers and modules. The science allows us to research new modules and upgrade old ones. Food is used to upgrade our heroes and heal them in an emergency. And dust allows us to power up rooms, which allows us to prevent enemies from spawning and also build things in those areas. All very important things we'll get to in a moment. At the bottom of the screen here, we have our major modules, which are our resource generators. We have passive healing modules, or defensive modules in this respect, which we don't have. The support modules, I suppose. We have offensive modules. We have one of the prisoner prod, which is basically a tower which will shoot at enemies if we place it on specific nodes, and defensive modules, which we don't have any of either. We also have on the top right of the screen our character portraits. We can click on them to select them, or we can use the number keys, and importantly enough, we can use the tilde key to select all of them, which is very useful for not having somebody go out by themselves by mistake and die a horrible death. And if we right-click on the hero's portraits, we get more information about them. Close the backpack. We can see here a bunch of important pieces of information. How much food it takes to level up Elise Ness, how much it takes to heal them in emergency, how much science it takes to restore active abilities, of which she currently has none, how much food we'll get if we dismiss this hero and get rid of them entirely, and their actual specific stat numbers, so we can see how much health, defense, or damage they might be doing, in addition to seeing what active skills they have, what passive skills they have, what equipment they can equip or have equipped currently. At the moment, we don't have anything equipped, obviously, but Elise can equip machine gun type weapons and devices. She cannot wear armor, though, unusually enough, since she has a very high base defense stat, but no armor slot here. She also has two abilities. Got Your Back means that she gets plus 10% defense when she's with allies, and Dust Cells gives her health regeneration if she's in rooms that have power, gives her bonus defense in rooms that have power, and gives her more expensive healing. In addition, we can see the same thing for Jalari Talak. A similar ability here, she has Scamper, which allows her to move through enemies without being slowed down, which is also pretty handy. You can see her stats, her level up cost is slightly lower, and all these different things as well. With that said, there's one other thing we're talking about, and that's this door. Doors are basically how this game manages turns. Every time you open a door, you generate resources, so the plus 5, plus 2, and plus 4 to each of these resources gets applied to the full totals we currently have, and it'll also cause things to happen. We'll have to fight whatever's in the room, perhaps, or find some new things. There may be enemies that spawn from other areas to fight us. So, that's the basics of this game. Let's unpause, open our first door, and see what happens. With our first door open, we found a very large room, which generated 10 dust for us as it fills the air. We can use that 10 dust to immediately power this room, and we got an additional dust from killing that monster. That was a good start. In here, we can see several small nodes we can build defensive turrets on if we want, and one larger node, which we're going to use to build an industry generator. Building industry generators early on is very important because it allows us to generate more industry, which allows us to build more things. So I find that's often a very important thing to build early on in the game, is a couple industry generators to keep yourself from running out of supplies. We're going to build another one, but we don't have enough resources yet. We only have 11 out of the 25 industry we need, so we're just going to keep exploring for now and hopefully find some interesting things along the way. In this room, when something interesting happens, this room is self-powered. We don't need to spend dust to power it, and unlike other rooms, where if we're in our tactical display here, if we depower this room, these ones will depower as well. You can't have powered rooms not connected to your core. However, since this one is self-powered, it can sit on its own if it likes. We'll reconnect the power so we don't have monsters spawning in behind us, and we're going to work our way back over to this door over in this direction. Alright, open sesame, what do we find in here? We now have enough resources, so I'm going to quickly pause the game, throw down another industry generator behind us, and then we'll keep going to find out what's in here. Looks like it's just some baddies, so we'll turn on the lights, fight whatever's inside here, and we'll move on. Alright, another industry generator is built, so now we're generating 11 industry a turn instead of 8. Let's hit this door and see what's inside here. Another self-powered room. Unusual. Alright, well, we're not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. We'll take advantage of the free power, because one of the big problems in this game is that you rarely have enough dust to power all of the rooms you discover. This room has some free science in it, which is nice, because our science generation starts incredibly low in this game, and if we're not able to find some science to generate quickly, or at least build some buildings to generate science quickly, we're not going to be able to deal with many of the things we run into. But, here we are. This is our first science building as well. We found an artifact here in the ground. These can be interacted with to start doing research, and there's some good research options here. The food replicator 2 means that we'll generate 4 instead of 3 food with every time we build one of these devices, which is really nice. Food is very important for keeping our characters appropriately leveled. But the prisoner prod upgrade over here is also good. This is a very cheap defensive tower, and we can power it up quite nicely here. Naturally, I believe this upgrade brings it up in attack power very slightly, but it's still worth doing, especially since it's so cheap and quite effective in the early game. So we're going to do that research, especially since we can actually afford it right now, so we can start it already. Let's go through the next door down here. We can't power this room, though, so things might start to get nasty in a second, and we'll see why when we get to it. Alright, this room has dust in it and some free industry that we can grab. Alright, we have plenty of industry now. Probably should have built something last turn to take advantage of the industry that we have, but we'll deal with it. This time I think we're going to build a science creator since we're so low on science right now. Our generation was only at 2, now 5 is slightly more respectable. We might be able to build something else when this science is finished. It's not necessarily likely, but it's possible. Alright, let's open the next door and see what happens. Things may still turn sour in a hurry if we're not careful. Next door has a bunch more dust in it, which is good. Means we can power this room and protect ourselves from getting flanked from 2 sides by angry enemies. But that warning sign indicates that an enemy has spawned in a room we left behind. We're going to run back over this way to deal with them, because they should be moving in this direction now. Yes, there they are. Alright, well we can kill these guys and move on. Thankfully, at the beginning of the game, they're not too much trouble, but they may wind up causing us more problems as we move in a little bit further. We do have enough, not quite enough rather, to place down another generator yet, so we'll probably be doing that in this room soon. At the moment, though, you may be wondering, what are we doing in this dungeon? What's the point? We are looking for the exit. That is our goal here in this place. We're looking for an elevator up to the next floor so we can try and get out of this horrible pit. The quicker we find one, the more likely we'll be able to survive our terrible ordeal here. So, ideally, we'll be finding it soon. Once we find the exit, we have to carry, manually, the crystal from our ship to said exit with one of our heroes and hopefully survive the swarms of enemies that will be greeting us at the time. We're going to throw down a food replicator here. Hopefully start generating some food to level up our heroes with. And we're going to start putting some defenses down. This area looks like it's going to have a bunch of unprotected rooms around it. So we're going to throw down some prisoner prods. We can't afford many since we just built the food generator, but some are better than none. We're going to open up another door though and see what we can find, and that might give us some more useful information. Here we found the exit, as well as 9 more dust. Okay, well that's useful. Now we know where we need to take our resources once we find everything else we can from the floor. Once we cart the crystal all the way over there, which is a reasonable distance, but nothing too drastic, we will successfully escape the floor with our lives. For now, though, we're going to finish exploring, because there may be more valuables for us to acquire here, and it would be silly for us to leave such opportunities unchecked. And now these guys are moving into rooms that our turrets are defending, so they'll help us kill them off nice and quick. Alright, you may have noticed as well that some of the enemy behaviors are a little bit different. Those crystals just waltzed straight past us, while most of the little bug-like enemies were attacking us directly. And that's because enemies have different target priorities. Many of them will target the heroes, while others will target our large modules. Some will even attack our small modules, and the most dangerous ones of all, in many cases, are the ones that target your crystal directly. Some will rush down here to attack it. When they attack the crystal, you lose dust every time it gets attacked, which means you'll lose the ability to power rooms, which makes the entire dungeon less safe. And if it reaches 0, you lose the game. So we have to watch out for our crystal's health as much as we possibly can. It's looking like we're not going to make anywhere near enough money, or rather enough industry, to build any more major modules on this floor, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. We are going to make some more progress, though, and see what else we can find in here. Here we found a salesman. Okay, let's see what he has to offer us. He's selling a guard uniform, which is a health and defense boost in exchange for a little bit of speed. He's also selling a nail gun, which none of us can use, and an iron shield, which is an iron stolen from the prison laundry. It's good for other uses besides ironing. Lovely. Alright, so unfortunately this guy is a science vendor, which means we have to spend our science points to buy these things, and that might not be what we want to be doing right now. Our science is very limited still, and we want to start boosting up some of our resource generation buildings so we can hopefully get things going a little bit quicker here. We're going to send our fast-moving Jalari Talak over to the science room actually right now so that we get a chance to see what other science options we have available to us now that we've finished our previous task. So what do you have for us here? You're a little bit too far away from getting an Industry Generator Mark II, which would be an incredible upgrade for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use our heavy over here to open this door. And in the moment that that happens, we now have enough resources to upgrade our industry. So we'll grab that industry generator upgrade. That is an incredibly valuable upgrade. And we're going to book it back over here to help defend against the enemies which may or may not be hiding in here. Start to spread more power throughout the area, and yes indeed, this room is full of nasty bugs. So we're going to come back in this direction now actually, since there's nothing over there for us to try and defend. We're going to try and lead them back to the room where we have defenses to make things a little bit safer for us. There's not a lot of defenses in here, but the fact that we have those lasers will speed up the kills and will make it a lot safer for our heroes. Alright, there we go. Taking them out no problem at all, generating a bit of extra dust. All is well. We probably only have one more door in this area, so we're going to check behind the final room and we'll see what we find. Yep, this is the last door of the current floor of the dungeon, and it has nothing inside. On the plus side, we do unlock our Industry Generator Mark II, which means we'll be generating things a little bit faster in the future, which is great. And it is time for us to plan our escape. Now this is going to be a little bit tricky. We want to make sure that we have power in these areas so that enemies can't spawn, like we have enemies spawning in here already. We're going to quickly run back to our defensive building here to protect against these guys. But then we'll need to cart the crystal all the way out without dying a horrible death, which may be surprisingly difficult as we try it. Sometimes it'll be pretty easy, and we do have a pretty reasonable path with a good corner here to defend. So it should be okay. Since all of this area is powered, no enemies can spawn here. They can only spawn in these areas, which means we should be pretty well safe. I'm going to be throwing down a couple more defenses in here, though, to make our escape a little bit easier. We'll throw down 3 more prisoner prawns to fill out this room. And we're going to be sending our fast-moving hero over to the crystal to pick it up. Once they get there, we're going to need to bring them back to the exit, and we're going to leave our heavy here right now to guard this area to make it more likely that we actually get out alive. Alright, Jalarius picked it up, saying, "It is no greater weight than duty and honor." Yes indeed, Jalari. Let's get you out of here safely. Meanwhile, we're going to keep our slow-moving tank here to protect you, and we will see what happens. Enemies are in fact incoming, but we have a lot of lasers to fight them off with, so we might be able to do this for a while here. Now, surviving at the end of the game doesn't give you any practical benefits, but it does give you more score, so it sometimes is fun to see how long you can last against the oncoming horde, but they do rapidly get out of hand if you're not careful. These things can really swarm you. And now that we've made it to the elevator, we have the exit button available. I'm going to start retreating with our tank here. She's a little bit slower than Jalari, but should be able to make it out no problem. Alright, now if we want, we can hold up in the elevator room here and try and fight off as many people as possible, but we only have the firepower of one hero. Since Jalari is carrying the crystal, she can't use her weapons and is much slower than normal, so we definitely want to get out of here before things go bad. So, let's hit the exit and get out of Dodge. Ta-da! Alright, floor cleared. We're moving on to floor number 2. That only took us 4 minutes and 55 seconds. Given that this video is now 18 minutes in, yeah, that tells you something. We leave the floor with all the resources we collected, getting our 48 industry, 5 science, and 85 food. We killed 76 monsters, and we've opened 15 doors. Let's head into floor number 2 and see how that goes as well. Here we say, you know, it didn't look like this at all in the brochures. Yes, indeed. Alright, Dungeon of the Endless, let's see what you have in store for us now. Okay, here we are on floor number 2. Unfortunately, elevators in Dungeon of the Endless only go up 1 floor each, which is incredibly silly, but that's how it works, so we're stuck with it. Now, we've arrived in a hostile place. We have a couple things we can do quickly here. I can also feed my characters to level them up. If we level up our heroes, they get stronger in a variety of ways. Leveling up Elise Ness gives her 44 more health, 3 more defense, and 2 more direct attack power, which boosts her DPS. So I'm going to do that for her. Brings us down to 55 food, which is still plenty. And I can do the same thing with Lady Jalari Talak. I can give her 15 food, which gives her another passive ability, as well as giving her 52 more health, 2 more defense, and 2 more attack power. So we're going to do that as well. Her new passive is Dust Thirst. This boosts her attack power by 8 for killing monsters, up to a max of 25 for the boost. And it also means you get a 20% less dust loot probability from monsters, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it's fine, we'll live with it. So, we are going to send our heroes up to investigate this next room. What do we find to begin with? 10 dust and a bunch of bugs. Well, 10 dust is a great thing to find because it's basically a free power for a room. So that's a great start for us. We're going to start off here by throwing down an industry generator, as always. Industry generators are a wonderful start. And another room where we can build another generator. Awesome. Throw down some more power, and in here we are going to be using probably a science creator, possibly. Maybe another industry generator, because then we can build more things quicker. We're going to do that. Having up to 2 industry generators is something I like to have, especially in the early game when you don't have much of an industry stockpile. There we go. Now we're generating 13 industry a turn. Now we should be able to really quickly get a handle on things here. What is in this room? Looks like not a whole lot. Not a whole lot indeed. Well, we're going to power it so that enemies can't spawn back here, and then we're going to have to head off in another direction. Alright, so this area is safe. No enemies can spawn back here, and there are no more doors in this area, so we don't have to worry about anything back here. But there's also nowhere else to go over there, which is a little bit unfortunate. Let's keep looking then. We're going to check out this way. What do we find in here? 9 dust, which is awesome, and it's a self-powered room, which is even more awesome. This is a really healthy start for us. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to throw down a science creator in here, because that's going to help us deal with our terrible science generation, and hopefully let us upgrade some things on this floor. Next door is a really big one. This is actually a pretty good room for us to find. It has our science machine in it. Very nice. Okay. You can generate a bunch of nice things. You can give us the Prisoner Prod Mark III, though. That's going to be a good one for us. More attack power again, same attack cooldown. Nice and fast-firing weapon. We could also get some of these other devices, but this is the most important one for us at the moment, in my opinion, so we're going to give it a try and see what happens. Also, we're running low on dust again, so the next room we uncover is likely going to be one we're not going to be able to power. But let's move on and see what we can do quickly here. Alright, 8 more dust, another science machine. What does this one offer? Same exact upgrades. Sometimes these things seem to have different upgrades, and sometimes they absolutely don't. Thankfully, we have just enough science to run that upgrade, so we'll start that off and see what happens. We're going to power this room, and we'll go to the next one. This is a big one, and we found the exit already. Holy cow. Okay, well, that's good to know. At least we know how to get out of here now. So, we're probably not going to want to go out there yet, but it's good to know that we have found the way out. Next thing, though, we're going to hit the next door and see what happens. We might want to start building some defenses soon, though, because we're going to get out of our depth in a hurry here. 1 dust in this room is not enough to power it. We have some nasty area of effect crescent guys in here. These guys can hurt pretty badly, and they're pretty tough as well, so things can be nasty if we don't kill them quickly. Also, those crystals have already escaped past us. We gotta make sure we kill them. Thank you. Alright, so now we have 2 rooms over here. We could theoretically do some work with them, but we don't have enough dust to power them anyway. And the rooms that we have powered are pretty important. I do believe you can do 2 different sciences at the same time, but sometimes it doesn't seem to be the case. Oh no, we can now. Okay. Oh, very nice. Our other randomly generated major module here is an Industry Generator Mark III, which means we generate 5 instead of 4 industry, which is real nice. So we might save up for a while to get that one, because that would be a big boost to our power here. Alright, what we're going to do, though, is we got to open some more doors, and since we have a large undefended area here, or rather unpowered area, we're going to throw down some prisoner prods in here to protect ourselves. These will automatically upgrade when the research is finished. And here we found a new character. Ooh, Mormish.
Careful, I'm the Warden, the big boss, numero uno, pal.
I've never hired this character before, so let's recruit them and see how they go. We spend food to recruit new heroes, and they will be added to our party. Welcome, Warden. Alright, Warden Mormish. Mormish was a reclusive and largely invisible personage before the crash, but now seems to have come out of his shell. Instead of hiding and giving orders through others, he is loud, present, and pushy. People get the feeling that he's trying to sell them something. Alright, what does this guy do? He has reasonable defense for a starting character. He's not going to compare with our tank or our heavy tank, because both of them are pretty tough on the defense side of things, but he's got reasonable defense. He's fast with 32 speed, comparable to our good Lady Jalari. He also has very low DPS. Alright, he has high wit, however, so this guy seems very interesting. He's not going to be so much about doing damage for us, he's going to be powering up our other devices. Interesting. He's got a very long attack cooldown, though, so he's not going to be hitting very hard. His active skill here is War Profiteer. What does this do? Dust loot probability from monsters up by 2. Ooh, interesting. And it multiplies his attack cooldown by 3. Does that make him even slower? I'm not even sure. I think it does. I think it makes him even slower to attack, but means he gets more dust from monsters. What are his passive abilities? He has Got Your Back, a plus 10% defense boost, and he has Need for More Speed. Gives him plus 10% speed, or plus 10 speed rather, if he's not alone in the room. That's a significant speed boost. That must be why he's so fast right now. Interesting. Okay, so I'm not sure how we're meant to use this character yet, but it's going to be interesting trying him out. He's definitely very different from the other characters I've had so far. We can power this room, though, so enemies can't come through here. They have to come from this side. We're going to head over in this direction, though, and we'll see what's what. We're probably going to wind up depowering these rooms as we move through this side, but for now, we're going to go experiment and see what happens. Alright, so, time to bust down another door. We have 69 science. I should probably try and build some more modules, but I don't really have anywhere I can build them. I could try one here, but then I can't depower that room. Don't have many options, though. We're going to throw down a food replicator, because we need one. That will help us level up the increased number of heroes that we now have, but let's keep looking around this place and see what's what. In here, we have a self-powered room. Well, that's handy, isn't it? Alright, in here we're also going to throw down another science creator, because right now we need more science so we can boost up our generators. And enemies have appeared behind us, so we're going to run back in this direction to go deal with them. Look at this guy's chair. Look at his chair, it's amazing. That is an awesome chair. Alright, so they should be coming over here shortly. We are going to activate his ability just to see what happens once this guy gets a little bit weaker. Oh no, he got killed real fast. Alright, activate War Profiteer. Does that give him a 4.5 attack cooldown? Wow. Alright, Warden Momish does not care about actually fighting. What's he doing, Momish? Alright, we didn't get any extra dust from that, unfortunately. It's just a chance increase, I suppose. Double the chance. But it makes him almost useless in combat. Wow. Alright, we're going to try something I've never done before. We're going to send him into the science machine and see what happens. Does he have the ability to operate the device yet? It looks like no, since he doesn't have the operate skill. So until he gets enough ability to operate devices, he can't make advantage of his wit bonus. Okay. So for now, he's a little bit of a dead weight, but hopefully once he gains more levels, he'll be more useful to us because he'll be more versatile. He'll be able to help power up our devices significantly. Okay, interesting. We might experiment with that in this run. What's through this door, though? 8 more dust, not quite enough to power this room, unfortunately, so we're going to probably throw down some more defenses over here to protect ourselves. And these guys have already escaped and are heading for our crystal at high speed. Murder them, thank you kindly. Okay, let's throw down some prisoner prods in here just to make sure we have our escape route covered. And let's open this door.
Kicking doors and kicking ass. Is this heaven or what?
Something like that. Alright, some of these guys have escaped us. How long does it take to cool down this ability? It's only a 2-room cooldown, so that's not so bad. In theory, you could generate a lot of dust with him. We're going to send our team back over this way, though, so we can deal with all of these guys coming in here. And once he makes it into the room, we're going to use his dust power again. See if we get any. There's one. Alright, there's 2. Okay, that's not bad. We have generated some dust here. These guys don't have their abilities yet, but we'll be getting them soon. And the dust generation is off. Okay, well, you know what? I'm not going to complain about that. We got some dust there. That's some good stuff. Alright, we're going to power that room for now as well. Some of the defenses we built may not wind up getting used. We got another one. Very nice. May not wind up getting used, but it's good to build them either way. We probably want to level up some of our heroes, though, to get some more abilities. Unfortunately, for both of these 2 heroes, their first abilities are not amazing. For Lady Jalari Talak, her second ability is real nice, but it's going to take quite a few level ups to get there. Elise Ness's first ability is not great, and I have no idea what Momish does when you level him up. So we might hold on to a bit of food for a while longer and see what happens. We're going to head our heroes over in this direction, though, to explore more from here, and we'll see what we can find. What lies beneath? More doors, looks like. And in here we find more bad guys, too. Okay, well, that's that, I suppose. Let's fight these guys off. Gotta keep a close eye on your health, though, because while it is easy enough to smash your way through many of these enemies, it's also very easy for things to get quickly out of hand if you're not careful. Alright, well, we get a free health regeneration as always when we finish clearing the room. That's good. Let's open the next door. Looks like a dead end. Hopefully it has some nice goodies in it. Nope, just horrible bad guys. Alright, well, this is gonna hurt. Those crescent guys really do a lot of damage, so we're gonna actually run back to... Ooh, okay. And they're swarming us from behind as well. Okay, this might be difficult. Let's see how we handle this. We have abilities we can use in an emergency here to help keep ourselves alive. These guys also damage all of the buildings in the room that they're in, which is extra nasty. Momish is taking a lot of hurt here. I'm going to heal him quickly with some food. These guys are making their way through the room towards our crystal already, so we're going to have to back up, I think, to the crystal room. Not that I really want to, but we want to try and protect it. All the bad guys in here seem to have been killed already, which is good. Let's send them back in here then, see if we can stop them in this room where all of our defensive turrets are. Spend Momish's ability here to get us some extra dust, perhaps. And we're going to rush Jalari back into the crystal room along with our heavy to try and stop this last enemy. This is where the game starts to get a bit crazy, you see. With enemies spawning all over the place, it can be a good idea to get out rather than explore everything if you can't get the power you need to keep yourself safe. We're going to keep exploring, though, because every time we explore, we get more resources. And we found a self-powered room. Very nice. Okay, well, do we have anywhere else we can safely put in... Oh, they destroyed my food replicator, you jerks. Some enemies do target your modules and will destroy things like that if you're not careful. So that's a pain. It's going to slow things down. We have almost enough resources, I think, to use the science device. So let's go quickly send Jalari back here to investigate. Enemies have already spawned? Alright. Alright. We're going to send our heavy over here. We're going to send you over here, and we'll see how we can handle this. I'm probably going to want to throw down some more devices. Alright, we need to open one more door to get enough science to get the industry generator. I thought so. That's unfortunate. Unfortunately, we have to deal with this wave anyway. There are 2 waves of enemies incoming, and they are nasty ones indeed. Alright. We should be able to take these guys out, though. Looks like they're not too numerous. Over here, we got some bigger bugs that we're dealing with. What are you doing, Jalari? This is the room you're in. Alright. We already took care of the crystals on that side, no problem at all, which is good. And these guys look like they're mostly dead as well. I'm going to send you back over to this side. We're going to deal with these last 2 crystals that have spawned, and then we're going to open a door and quickly buy ourselves an upgrade to our research devices. So you 2 are going to come in here, but Jalari, you are going to stay in this room for now. Since you're fast, you should be able to handle this. Door is open, which means you now get to interact with the science device. Get us a better industry generator, thank you kindly, and book it over in this direction. A whole bunch of science and a whole bunch of bad guys. Alright, come back to the defensible position and we'll get ready to fight them here. Plus, bad guys are spawning all over the place again. Might be high time we got out of here. We found the exit a while ago. It might be time to just cut and run. Take what we can and get out while we can. Burn some more food on healing, unfortunately, and we are hurting pretty bad here. We want to make sure nobody dies. That would be a real unfortunate problem here. We're losing dust as well. Yeah, it's looking like it's time for us to start bailing on this place. They're attacking some of our generators as well, which is not what we like to see. This is definitely turning sour fast. We'll do our best to survive this wave, and I think we're just going to get out. You gotta know when to cut and run. We've lost a bunch of dust here. We're about to lose this science generator. Not that that matters a whole lot. Okay, time for us to get ready for the escape approach. So, we are going to drain power from a bunch of rooms here. There's probably only one room that we actually left behind unused, but that will do. We should have an easy escape here. Now that these rooms are all powered, we should have no problem actually getting out of here safely. So, let's grab this with Jalari, since she's the fastest. Actually, you know what? Let's grab this with you. You grab the device.
I hate being the center of attention.
Alright guys, let's book it out of here. Get to that exit beacon and let's get out of Dodge. Oh, hang on though. That's a good point. He only gets his speed boost while there's somebody else friendly around. So that might not be the best for us. Either way, let's keep moving. Probably should have just given it to Jalari, who always has that speed. But you gotta experiment sometimes. We have a good amount of industry and food moving into the next level, but not a great amount of food. Very low science, because we just spent all of it, but that's fine. Let's exit this floor. We made it out, no problem. Time to bail. Boop. Out we go. Alright. Floor cleared. Very nice. 76 industry, 3 science, 65 food left with. Whew, that stage took us apparently 6 minutes, even though this video is now 34 minutes long. 186 total monsters killed, 31 doors opened, 1,450 points of score, we hired a new crew member, and our tradition is the new guy on the team takes all the blame for our failures. And that's it. So, thank you very much for watching, everyone. We're going to be ending this episode here for now. We're probably going to be doing 2 floors a video until we die a horrible death. Which is probably going to happen. I've never made it past, I think, floor number 10, so we'll see how far we can get. Thank you all very much for watching, though. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode, and until then, this has been Vanguard of Valor, and bye-bye.